Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of the Kashif Booth podcast. If you're new here, each week I sit down with a guest and we discuss their career so far, the highs, the lows, and what's next for them. Today's guest is Saffron King. She is a script editor and writer. So, welcome to the show.
Hi everyone, thank you, Kashif. That was such a wonderful introduction. It's amazing to be on your show. So firstly, thank you.
Thank you for coming on. Okay, we have
Oh,
had each other on LinkedIn for I don't know how long,
yeah.
actually.
I know, I don't know how long. I think started following you first because I saw
Okay.
all the amazing things you were doing. But it's been some time. It definitely has a few years, I'd say. A
Yeah,
few,
yeah, definitely a few years. And I've
yeah.
been seeing the stuff you've been doing, some like
Oh,
inspired by the movements you've been making. So it's like, yeah. And I just noticed we had a few mutuals, and that's just how it goes in this industry. And I think
exactly.
but it's always good to connect. And it's the first time we're actually communicating and chatting like
I
face
know.
to face, even though it's virtual.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yes.
And yeah, this is our first gathering like introduction together. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
should have
yeah.
definitely met before, but it's nice that I got to meet you now, and got
Yes,
a feel
yes,
of who
yes.
you are and
Yeah.
yeah.
But I think it's always good because like I just love what doing this platform I'm able to like give people flowers as well, but also it's like I'm able to connect with people who I've seen but not really been able to like meet in person yet. So I think that's what's really cool as well. So yeah,
Amazing.
yeah.
No, amazing. I appreciate this
Yeah.
platform. So keep doing what you're doing because
Thank you. So tell me
oh,
about you. How did you get started in this industry as
yeah.
a writer, script editor? What was your journey like?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I don't know if you all can hear it in my accent, but I actually am from Birmingham. So started off in Birmingham. In Birmingham, it's quite. I would say the opportunities are quite limited. So when I did media in university. I enjoyed the course. The course was great, but I think after doing it for so long, when I left university, all of my passion for media had sucked out. So I was like, what do I even want to do? What do I want to do now? Do I want to go into politics? Because I thought, oh, okay, because I've done a bit of journalism. Let me see if I can get into politics. Worked for a politician, and that was great. But then I just knew, no, it wasn't for me. So that was all during the pandemic, so 2020. And because that was a short stint, I was able to finish that and have opportunity to really think about what I wanted to do. And people would say to me, Saffron, like, you've got a degree in media, like you need to use it. And I thought, oh, okay. It wasn't just people saying it to me now, it was me actually thinking my passion's coming back. And that was like, so I graduated in 2017 and the passion for media came back in 2020. So that was 3 years. So
Wow.
yeah, so it's 3 years of me questioning, thinking, what do I want to do? Because even when I was at university, I thought I wanted to be a journalist, like straight up journalist. But then having finished the degree, I knew I wanted to do more sort of the fictional storytelling side of things. So how I first got into the industry was I had an opportunity at BBC Doctors, which is in Birmingham. Unfortunately, it's not on air anymore, which is sad because it was really the start for a lot of people,
Mhm.
a lot of new creatives, especially not from London. Even actually, one of my good friends, I met him in at BBC Doctors, and he was from London himself. So even it gave opportunities to even people in London.
Yeah, yeah.
So and some of the actors from London as well.
Mhm.
So it was an all-round amazing, just an amazing platform, industry and show to work on. And I was a team assistant. So what that entailed was I was assisting the story producer. So me and the story producer would come up with ideas. I would see how he would run through ideas with the producers. I would be in meetings with the exec producers. Sorry, the exec producer, the series producer, and the story producer. And it was an amazing experience seeing how their heads worked. Like when you watch something on screen, you don't always realize how much goes into it,
Mm.
from the drafting of ideas to the actually filming on set. It's literally a machine,
Mm.
especially on shows like Doctors, EastEnders, Coronation Street, etc., etc. So I loved doing that. And I also worked with other script editors to see what they did. And I thought, oh, maybe this is something that I can do. So for those who don't know, a script editor is someone who works closely with the writer. They edit the scripts, but they also have to liaise with the producers and how the producers want the scripts to be. So in a sense, you're kind of like a middleman between the producer and the writer. And so I'm in the middle, the producer's there and the writer's there. So I'd have to feed back to the writer what the producer would like. And also if the writer's happy with that as well, because sometimes the writer is so into the script that oftentimes they know, not to say they know best than the producer, but they could also challenge what the producer's saying and
Hmm.
say, oh, I think the character would work better saying this rather than that, or I think this is how it should end rather than how that was pitched. So I did that. So it was a story team assistant. And then from there, I was headhunted by EastEnders as a trainee script editor. So I did script editing on EastEnders, which was it was such a jump from BBC Doctors to EastEnders because my experience at BBC Doctors, because it was very, very entry level, it was quite not yeah, it was an easy way in. It was very relaxed. I was able to learn slowly. Whereas EastEnders, I was able to learn, but I had to learn very
Hmm.
quickly because it's
Hmm.
such a fast-paced show. EastEnders is great, but it's a big machine, with so much scripts going through it, so many people to manage, so many more characters, so many more heads at the table. I felt like I was constantly fighting to swim. So yeah, but the producers were amazing. The people who managed me, very nurturing. If I was struggling with anything, I could be open and honest. And that's the thing about in this industry as well, because it can be hard. It's very rewarding, and I feel like it's nice to see your ideas on screen, but it can also be very challenging as well. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, it's just TV. You're not a doctor, you're not a nurse," but
But
sometimes you feel like life and death is at stake here. So
listen, yeah,
honestly,
yeah.
yeah. So I did that for just under a year. And then after that, because I knew my contract was coming to an end, oftentimes in TV as well, especially in production, you're on fixed term contracts. So you're always having to look for your next opportunity, unless you're fortunate to get a opportunity in-house, which means you're working potentially in development where you could be working that same role for years. But after that, I was an assistant script editor on Coronation Street, which was also a machine in and of itself. The longest running soap. I was so grateful what I learned there. They trusted me straight away. I was able to edit scripts, even as an assistant script editor. I was able to edit scripts off the back. And also, me and the writers got along really well. Even to now, I still speak to some of the writers, and we have a good relationship. I have a good relationship with some of the actors as well. And one of the actors I have a good relationship with. I have a good relationship with all of them, but when I say a good relationship, meaning that I'm still in contact with now, via
Mhm.
phone. So yeah, that's been my journey. And then I've done other gigs like working at the BFI, working in development roles, being a development assistant, personal assistant, and managing diaries. Yeah, and then currently now I've written my own short film called Is There Life After Grief? So it's based on my own story, losing someone very close to me,
Mhm.
how to navigate life through that. So oftentimes I do find writing very therapeutic for me. So it's a nice and healthy outlet for how I do my art. So I hope this answers your question. Yeah.
It did.
In that
It
short
was so
way.
good, like hearing your journey. I always love asking that question off the bat because
Mm.
everyone's journey into the industry is different. And
Yeah.
it's a fair assessment for you to say that, after uni, you were like, you know what, I need a break. I understand,
Yeah.
I never did that, but like years later, I've
Mm.
had to take breaks in the industry because I'm like, I need a break. I need time away because it can be a lot. Like you said before, oh, it's just TV. That's always the famous saying when you work in TV. Oh, it's just TV. We're not doing brain surgery. But you make us feel like we are. So if we don't do it, we're gonna be out the door. So I think that's the difference because there's so much pressure and people don't realize the pressure that goes into it. But I love how you were able to get into it. And you made such great points. Like doctors being cancelled is a sad thing for the industry because it really has been a lot of people's entry into the industry. I've met so many people who started off at doctors, their first credits as directors, as writers, as script editors, as actors, they all that's what Doctors was. And Doctors is underrated. I'm sorry. The storylines are very good, okay?
I'm glad you said that, Kashi. I
They
agree.
are. They are so underrated. You know, in comparison to these bigger soaps, which in some cases, repeat the same type of storylines every few years,
Yeah.
Doctors is refreshingly fresh, not every episode is the same. That's what I loved about it. And the characters were funny and personable and relatable. I mean, my favorite characters were always Mrs. Tembe,
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Daniel and Zara. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. The way
Amazing.
I'm just like a typical British person. I just love that dry wit, and that's Zara and
Yeah.
Daniel. They just crack me up. I'm like, what is going on? Why
Yeah.
are they like this? You know,
Literally.
Heston as well. I used to love Jack and Imi and Karen and Rob. I used
Oh,
to love that
yeah.
family. So trust me, I'm an Eastenders fan, so I know.
Oh, yes, yeah.
So like, not
I
Eastenders,
love
so
that,
Doctors
Kashi.
fan.
Doctors, yes.
Yeah,
I knew what you meant.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, and I think it's so good to hear that you got that start because I always say on my platform, like, there's so many great creatives outside of London doing amazing things. And for you to, that's what it helped bridge the gap, being in Birmingham and now what's going to be next for you guys? Because not everybody wants to come to London, And
Exactly.
that's the thing.
This
Other
is
countries, like let's think of like America, for example, there's so many different cities and states where people
yes.
can have successful film careers and not be in LA. Why is it that we only make London the hub of that? We need to branch out and make it bigger.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, it's something that I've had to ask myself. Like currently now, I'm actually in London,
Mhm.
and it's because I've had to take my opportunities into my own hands. Because if I stayed in Birmingham, then I wouldn't really be getting any opportunities. And I'm not saying Birmingham has no opportunities because thank God for Stephen Knight. He is doing amazing things in Birmingham. I have to shout him out because the work that he's doing, I can't take that from him. He's doing
Mhm.
amazing. But I think as a whole, aside from what he's doing, it's really hard. And I do think, yes, even though obviously there's that thing of, oh, why does it always have to be in London? It is just the reality, and you
Mhm.
have to go where the work is, unfortunately. And I
Mhm.
remember speaking to one of my friends, he's from South London. Hopefully, he doesn't mind me sharing this. I won't mention his name. But I remember one time saying to him, would you ever move out of London to get work? And he's in the same industry as us, the TV
Mhm.
industry and writing and acting. And he said, "No, Saffron, I don't think I need to leave." And I was like, wow, like in comparison to where I've come from, I'm like, I wish I had that mindset because
Mhm.
that's in my mind, it's like I've had to leave to be
Mhm.
able to get an opportunity. So, like for example, working at Coronation Street, which was in Manchester, and then EastEnders being in London. Well, it's not really in London, London,
Yeah.
but yeah,
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 I know what you
it's
mean.
on
Yeah,
top of, but
yeah,
it's based off East Londoners. So
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but
Mhm.
but even like other production companies, most of the production companies are in London. Like I'm sure there's a hub in central London where they all are around the same area. So
Yes, yes.
yeah.
And now in Shoreditch, like they're all in Shoreditch everywhere. I worked in
Yeah.
Shoreditch on and off 2 years at so many different companies. So yeah.
Wow. Oh, amazing. And
Mhm.
Amazon's in Shoreditch, as well, isn't it, I
Oh
think?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
this is the thing, and I do hope that things do get better and not even just Birmingham, but like outside of London. I think Manchester's got a great hub. Manchester's done really well in comparison, and Manchester's actually further away from
Mhm.
London than
Yeah.
Birmingham. So I always wonder how they've done so amazingly, and having the longest running show and having a whole media city. I think they've done phenomenal.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, it's true, it's true. They have, and a lot of I've worked with some people who are up north and they don't need to come to London because there's so much what's shot out there. So they're able to be very busy and work,
Exactly.
but Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
So,
So,
yeah, that's the great question though, Kashif. I
mhm,
love when people ask me these questions because like it
mhm.
makes me think, we all have a journey. Like no one has just arrived,
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah. No, and I think it's great. And you mentioned like Stephen Knight, but there's so many other like great filmmakers who I know, like A.R. Ugas and Dwayne Comma Roberts and Daniel
Yes.
Alexander. And then there's another girl, Sharina Ingram, like she's an actress, but also a teacher and producer and stuff. And it's like they're in Birmingham making moves and like making sh everyone know, like, yeah, we're here.
We're
We're not
here.
gonna come to London. We're gonna push and keep doing what we're doing. And there's also Andre Pierre. He's an amazing
Oh,
actor
yes,
and
he's
killing it.
amazing.
I've had him on the show as well, and a lot of the guests that I've mentioned, they've been on the show as well. Some of these people, so it's like I love seeing what they're doing, and they're pushing, and they're just like, look, we might be from Birmingham, but we're gonna show you guys that you guys need to come here. And that's what it's about. If you don't be the change that you're looking for, no one's gonna do it for you, you know?
That is so true, Kashif. Thank
Yeah.
you. Oh, that is very powerful what you've said.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And thank you. Even with Dwayne Comma Roberts, I actually worked with him on my latest short film. So definitely shout out to him. He's doing amazing things. And
Hmm.
he even recently had his short film and that he recently released this year, premiered in London. I think it was
Hmm.
a few weeks ago. So
Hmm.
he's doing amazing things as well. And yeah, shout out. It's true. There's so much different people that you just don't always hear about, the
Yeah.
people that you don't always see their name in the
Yeah.
spotlight.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's
yeah.
true. It's true. It's true.
Oh,
So I wanted to ask you, as a script editor, you
mhm.
explained what you do, but how does someone get into it? How do they work their way to be a script editor? And then, you can become an executive story editor.
Yeah,
And some people may hear that and think, okay, that's the way I can start writing. Have you ever seen where somebody has been a script editor and then been able to write on the show?
absolutely. No, that's a really good question. Thank you for asking that. So to answer your first question, how I got into script editing and how I see other people get into script editing is usually you start off by script reading, so reading for production companies. So how you can do that, you could send an email to production companies, to their script department, and ask them if they need a script reader. A lot of people do need script readers because what you find is that these production companies get a lot of scripts and they get inundated and they might not have the time to read all the scripts. So it might be useful to maybe watch something on TV yourself, critique it, how you would change it. If there is any part of the dialogue that you would change or that you like or you don't like, write a short report of it and then send it out to some production companies. And LinkedIn's a great tool. You can search for but maybe one of your favorite movies or shows that you watch, look at the credits and see which production company produced it, and then you can see if you can find anyone who works there on LinkedIn and then reach out that way. So script reading is a good start. Um, Running as well. I know being a runner is more the production side, but with being a runner, it's a very entry level role, and there's a lot more opportunities in that. And you can get to know people in the script department, the people in the art department, etc., etc., and you can network your way in. Networking is a big tool as well. So constantly, putting yourself out there, making yourself visible. Like Kashif is a really good example. Like I was attracted to you in terms of your work because you're out there putting your amazing work out there. You're podcasting, the work that you produce. You were visible to me, so you didn't have to do much of the work or the ground, because you're there, like
Mhm.
you're there, and you've got a good network around you as well, Kashif. In terms of going from a script editor to being a writer or a executive, development executive. So a lot of people do I do know people who have gone from script editing to being a writer. And when I was at EastEnders, a lot of the people who were script editing before me, so they've been on the show for maybe a couple of years, 3 years, 3 to 4 years, they would ask the producer if they could write like an example script, and then from there, if the producer could see a good talent or and really liked what they're writing, they would ask them to either be a part of their talent program or or essentially write spec scripts. I actually do know one individual now. She's actually a development executive. And she also, not at EastEnders, but at a different production company, but she also writes for EastEnders when she has the time and as and when the opportunity is available. And she was being a script editor on EastEnders before I came to EastEnders. So she had already built her network. What it's about is that even when you're in the role, still not being complacent. I know complacency is so easy, especially when, life gets hard and you've got so much on your mind and there's so much things to be done on a day to day, but it's still keeping up those relationships, still expressing what you would like to do. Some script editors don't really want to write. Some of them just want to stay script editing, or they might even want to go to producing. So the producing side of things is very different. So it's more overseeing the storylining process and more overseeing the writers and directing the writers as well. So it's about maintaining relationships, but also putting your skill sets out there. So even though you've got maybe a lot to do at hand in your own task, it's showing that you can do more and that you're passionate about, progressing and wanting to do other things. So yeah, I think
Thank you for sharing. That's
different
good.
routes.
No, because I've heard that same journey before, and I want people who see script editors in the comments, or I mean, in the credits,
Mm.
and they don't know what it means, or they've heard it and they want to see how they can, get up in the ranks.
Yeah,
I think I really wanted
yeah.
you to break that down, and you did such a great job because
Oh,
you can do that. You can be a script editor and then become a producer, or you can just be a script editor and then start writing, but you have to be writing. You
yeah,
have to be writing,
you have
you
to.
you can't
Yeah,
just be editing. You can't just think, oh, okay, this is cool. Being complacent isn't going to get you anywhere. I'll be very transparent. Like me from freelancing in the industry, I started to do it independently, and that's what helped me build connections, and people
mm,
respect it. They love it. I'm sure like when you're in at work and you're script editing, you'll say, "Oh yes, I've just written a short film and it's done this and blah blah blah." People are like, "Oh my gosh, that's so cool!" And let's see it. And then that's just how opportunities are created. And people,
exactly.
you have to constantly keep working, but don't feel like you're pressured to do it. Do
Yeah,
it in your own time and with what feels natural to you. Because sometimes you can be bombarded with information. Okay, you have to do this, or you don't do this, and then it's like overwhelming, and you're like, I just want to work,
exactly.
do it at your own pace. Don't rush. So I think that's really, really good. So how have you found it for you when you've been in EastEnders and Coronation Street and these big soaps? I always feel like soaps are the best places to learn. I've never worked on a soap. I've always wanted to because of the pace and the work, because remember, they're churning out episodes every 5 days a week. Okay. So it's like, and I know they shoot it way in advance. So like being in that environment, how does it kind of set you up for the rest of your career where you're working on, let's say, like a 10 episode drama series, in comparison? How has that helped your work ethic?
Yeah.
Yeah, in your career.
That's a good question. I would say it's helped me to manage different relationships. So understanding how to communicate with the different departments. So with actors, for example, managing actors' expectations, managing actors' wants and needs, also managing the producers' needs as well and communicating with them, managing different relationships and time management as well, reading loads of scripts at one given time, because you do have to you do a lot, you can't get out of reading scripts. I think a lot sometimes people think, oh, I just want to skip and keep reading. No, like
Mm,
attention to detail is key, but
mm,
it can be very hard when you've got like 16 scripts to read, but also you've got to send out reports or you've got to
mm,
send out stuff to writers. It can be very hard and challenging, but being working in soaps, it teaches you how to manage so much content at such a short amount in such a short amount of time. There is a lot of pressure. However, once you've managed that pressure and been able to navigate through and build the relationships around you, so with your work colleagues, being transparent, being honest, could you help me with this, or how do you find best to do this or to work on this? It's
mm,
about being honest and being transparent. So I would say it's taught me how to manage my time well, how to be calm under very stressful situations because I've had to be.
Hmm.
Having to deal with so much things at one given time, you can't just be you can't just let things just go just because you're
Hmm.
stressed. You have to
Hmm.
keep everything at bay. So
Yeah.
it's definitely taught me how to manage well in
Mm-hmm.
comparison to, a drama where there'll be maybe less scripts to read. However, in drama, you'll most likely have more responsibility
Hmm.
because of the expectation. Because I know a script editor in a drama is different to a script editor on like for example, on Coronation Street,
Hmm.
because a script editor on a drama would potentially have to do storylining as well as script editing. Whereas on Coronation Street, you can do storylining if you want to, but it's not expected in your
Hmm.
job role.
Hmm.
It's editing, and sometimes you have to actually thinking of it now. I remember there was one scenario where I did also have to storyline a script as well. And when I say storyline, more so write out the beats. So not actually
Hmm.
do the heavy drafting, but write
Hmm.
out the beats because there was so much story changes. So that's one thing that happens as well in so often.
Hmm.
Stories change as you go along.
Hmm.
And it's about going back and actually feeding in those changes, which can be quite challenging in and of itself. But once you have that communication clear, it's good. It's good. But yeah, I would definitely say it's just taught me how to work well under pressure, to be quite frank.
Yeah. Which is so
Yeah.
good. I feel like as a producer, like as myself, like when I'm having meetings with people, I always get that. So, how do you manage your time? I'm like, I have done two projects in 1 week. And you may have saw my post the other day on LinkedIn. I did two in 1 day.
Oh,
And
yes, I
the day
saw that.
before and the day before that shoot, I did a commercial. So I basically did three projects in 1 week. So trust me, I can manage it. But it's about knowing how to be organized, have your spreadsheets, okay, communicating effectively
Yes.
everything what you're doing and making notes. That is what is key. And I think that's in across every department in this industry, you know.
Yeah.
And I've been on productions, like I worked on this show for ITV years ago, and I wanted to ask you this. How do you find it where, you're working with producers and then they're like, okay, that needs to change. And then it's like, okay, you get pink amendments. And it's like, okay, cool. And then you get double pink amendments. So you know what I mean when you get to double pink. Okay.
Yes.
So how is it for you to be like, okay, you're to the point where you're a double pink because you've gone through all the colors and now you're there,
Yeah.
And I was like, this was like very early in my career. So I was a runner. This was like 2015. And it was my job to kind of give that to every department. So I'd be like, hi. And then they'd be like, oh. And I'd be like, it's not me. Okay. And they'd be like, I'm sorry, sweetheart. I know it's not you. Like I remember literally having to run to set and hand it to the director. And he was like, oh my God. Like literally give them brand new amendments. So it's like, how is it for you in that space? Because that is immense pressure, especially when they're about to shoot like a
Yeah.
scene and you've got to be like, okay, sorry guys, but we need to swap this out.
Yeah.
What's that like? Because people need to understand like this is what production is about. And
Yeah.
sometimes I think with script editors, you can do full set hours, but then sometimes you can leave early. So it's like it all just depends. So what's that like for you as well?
Wow, honestly, it's very real. It's a very real experience. And to be
Mhm.
honest, Kashif, I was often doing hours where I'd start work at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and finishing work. Okay, leaving the office for about 6, 7, and then going back home and continuing work like till early hours of the morning because of the deadline.
Mhm.
So, if more amendments needed to be done, I know in soap and drama the colours might be different, but
Mhm.
I do get what you mean in terms of, there's amendments and there's a colour code before
Mhm.
the actual shoot. Um, and it can be very stressful. I think one thing I had to learn is that to expect there to be changes. And I know it doesn't get
Mhm.
any easier because you always think, okay, wow, okay, we're finally here, just about to shoot. everything's gonna go dandy. I'm just
Hmm.
gonna work on the next script. No, I think one thing I had to learn was manage my expectations and to always be
Hmm.
aware that changes can happen and that because for example an actor may be unwell on the shoot day
Yeah.
and there might be a strong character where we need them for the story but
Hmm.
they just can't be on that day so it
Hmm.
means that okay what are we going to do you know there's certain things that can't be avoided so
Hmm.
even whether the producer wanted it that way or the producer changed their mind there's certain things that can't be avoided because you know we're
Hmm.
human, the day-to-day happens, things
Yeah.
happen, family life,
Mm.
etc.
Mm.
So I had to learn that things can change very rapidly, very quickly, especially in production. I think in development it's different because development it's a lot slower. There's
Yeah.
more room for, you know, improvement, more room for certain activity not to happen. But in production, there's all it's very live. It's
Hmm.
live. It's like a baby where you
Hmm.
just don't know when the baby's gonna cry or when the baby's gonna go
Yeah.
to sleep. You just don't
Uh-huh.
know. The baby could wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning, or the baby
Mhm.
could wake up at 5. You just
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say it's
Mhm.
just always being prepared and 10 steps ahead. So really managing your time well, having a to-do list, making sure you're on it with your scripts, your story knowledge as well.
Mhm.
Um, knowing where that script has left off at. So if someone wants to ask you a question like, okay, we want to change this, but does this work for the story? And just you want to know straight away, okay, it could work, but the character's very necessary for this storyline. So maybe we might have to reschedule and film it on a different day or completely change it and write in a different beat. So yeah, it can be very stressful though, very and
Mhm.
it can require long hours. I think people don't realize that script editing it can be very long hours. Like
Mhm.
yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
No, thank you for sharing.
Oh,
So I wanted to know from everything that you've done as a script editor and what the knowledge that you've gained and the experience that you've gained, how have you taken that into your writing? Ha
yeah.
has it made it harder for you to write or easier for you to write? Because some people might say, like, oh, you can't turn off that brain, so you kind of are overthinking your script all the time, or have you been able to just switch off and get lost in the story? What's that been like for you?
That's a really good question. I would say I've been able to get lost in a story. I think because I write quite heartfelt stories,
Hmm.
I just write with the emotion and hope for the best after. And what I've tried to do is have other people edit my work rather than me edit my own work because I don't want to be so attached in that way.
Hmm.
So I would say one thing script editing has done for me is it's helped me to um write a better dialogue connect with my characters as well to ensure that the script it makes sense for production, makes
Hmm.
sense for the director, and it's allowed me to really see what each person's role is. So when I'm writing something, I can actually see, especially when you first start in that, because when you first start in that, you're having to produce your own film, direct your own film,
Hmm.
like sourcing out the roles, sourcing out
Hmm.
the actors.
Hmm.
So I think because I've been able to be privileged enough to work for these amazing shows, I've been able to understand how to source the best people, how to work with the actors, how to
Hmm.
direct the actors as well, and be accommodating for the actors. So not kind of being rigid, but
Hmm.
actually allowing the actors also to act. Because that's one thing that I learned also in script editing is that you don't want to always be on the nose when writing. You
Hmm.
want to give room for the actor to just be who they are in the
Yes.
character in the
Yes.
moment because that's
Hmm.
where beauty is found. Yeah.
I really like that. So what's the goal for you? Do you want to be a writer, or do you want to continue just working your way up as a script editor to be like an executive, or like where do you want to go? What's the goal for Saffron?
Oh, that's a really nice question, Kashif. I would say main goal is writing. I think if you had asked me this question a few years ago, I would have said I just want to kind of work my way up into script editing, but
Hmm.
now I want to write. I do find it very fulfilling, and I
Hmm.
find that I'd like to see my ideas come to life. And as a script editor, you can still have your ideas come to life, but it's
Hmm.
just being aware that you are helping someone else bring their story to life. And that's what I had to learn, that
Hmm.
as a script editor, it is you facilitating the writer, not
Hmm.
it's not you as it's not
Hmm.
your script.
Hmm.
So whereas writing, I love to write. I feel like I can own my story, no matter what type of story it is. So yeah, writing is my goal. Yeah.
That's so good. I look forward to it. I feel like this is just the beginning of that. You've done your short film. I'm excited to see it. Is it out or is it
No,
coming?
it's not. It's currently going through the festivals.
Oh,
So
amazing.
I will definitely let you know when it does
Mhm.
come out.
Yes.
It's actually going to be streamed in America actually
Oh,
in
amazing.
October time. So yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, you guys will have to keep an eye on my journey so you can see the update. Yeah.
Good, 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 good. Please send me the link, or if there's a
Yes,
screening or whatever, let me know because I'd love
I
to meet you
will.
in person, but also
Yes,
just see
that
it as
that would be
well.
amazing, Kishi. Oh, you're so lovely. Thank
That's
you.
so good. So I know the industry has been very slow at the moment. So what is next for you? What are you doing to kind of fuel that creativity and, yeah, what's next for you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I definitely have been privileged to say that I've been able to work on paid projects,
Good.
work in development and also be paid for my hospitality and working in development hospitality as well. So, but I do know this time has been very difficult and a lot of people have left the industry and gone on to more secure jobs in terms of not fixed term contracts but permanent contracts, which we have bills to pay, so I do get it.
Mhm.
What was your other question? Sorry, Kashif. I don't know if
I was saying, yeah, what's next? Like, what are you doing to fuel the creativity and as well? Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I'm doing to feel my creativity is I am doing a lot of networking. So networking with other people where I want to either be in their position or I want to learn from. So it could be executives or development producers and writing my own content as well. I also have my own podcast as well, but I haven't actually released anything in a while. So you're actually encouraging me to release more.
Good, good.
Thank
I
you.
can be on your show too, so
Oh
please
yes, I
keep me
have to
on.
get you on. I have to get you on now. Absolutely. So yeah, so just working on things that I feel fulfilled with, and I think it is about also who you surrounding yourself with, especially in such a
Mhm.
hard time where a lot of people are going through a lot of difficulty, and just doing what's best for you. So if you need to get a job which is out of the industry just to pay bills, you've got to do what you got to do, haven't you? Because
Yeah.
you've still got to breathe and be able to enjoy life as well. Because it can be very. I think it's just a very hard time now. But
Mhm.
I think a lot of people are saying survive till 2025.
Yes, they are. Yes.
What do you think about that? Do you think it's gonna get better or?
Um, the new tax relief that has been proposed by the government is promising. It's better than what the Conservative government did earlier in the year. So we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. That's what I'm gonna say is we'll see. I'm optimistic. I don't want to be like, yep, this is the time.
Yeah.
Nah, we've like other people, I've had to get work outside the industry whilst freelancing, so it's very busy. But I need to stay afloat. I've got bills to pay. I can't just wait for one job a month to come through.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
we'll see what happens. I'm gonna see what the new year brings. Let's see what happens. Like when the industry starts to get busy around February, March. Let's
Yes.
see. Let's see. You know,
It's true.
let's
Let's
see.
see. Let's
Yeah,
see. Because I think people had an idea that this year would be better, but I think this year's just been
been
just as
worse.
hard as, yeah, if
Been
not
worse.
worse.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, because
yeah.
I
Like,
think more people are applying for the same job, but it means that there's few jobs that there because there's more
exactly,
competition. So,
exactly.
yeah, Kashif,
Hmm.
I think we've just got to stay afloat and stay
Hmm.
encouraged, and
Hmm.
like what you've been doing your work, you've been creating your own opportunities, and I think
Hmm.
that's what the industry is about. You
Yeah.
can't always rely on someone else to make an opportunity for you because sometimes the opportunity won't be presented unless you create it
Mhm.
yourself. And
Yeah.
even Issa Rae, I'm reminded of her story. She
Yes.
found it hard to get into the industry. And you think to yourself, Issa Rae, you
Yeah.
think someone would sweep her up straight away,
Mhm.
but that wasn't her story. But look at
Yeah.
her now. Like
Exactly.
she created that opportunity and look how far she's now. And maybe, just maybe, if an opportunity had come for her years before then, would she have been the big star she is now?
Hmm.
Maybe,
Hmm.
maybe not.
But
But
it's so true because timing, everything what is for you will happen when the time
yeah,
is right. It
yeah,
might sound corny or whatever, but things are aligned the way they are supposed to be, you know?
absolutely. Because she,
So yeah, so I totally agree with that.
absolutely, no
Totally.
matter how hard everything works out
Mhm.
for your good.
Yeah,
So
yeah. And I
yeah,
think everyone listening, be proactive. Like there's certain things like I've done this year. I've always said I want to do. Like I've always wanted to be in theatre. I'm like, oh, I'm fascinated by it. And I literally just said, you know what? Hey, I want to get into theatre. Can I help? Was able to start experiencing that and understanding that, doing different roles in the industry, first ADing a bit more. I'm like, okay, I shadowed somebody. I'm like, okay, now I've been able to get some gigs first ADing. So it's like these are the things what you have to be doing, being proactive. If there's things that have been in your mind and it's been like, oh, I'll do that another time. I'll do it when I'm ready. Do it now because you never
absolutely.
know what's going to do it now.
Good
During this
now.
time, just do it because it's going
Exactly.
to open more opportunities like that for
Exactly.
you. And
E-
this slow period is the best time to do that because you're able to create multiple streams of income for yourself to be able to stay afloat in different ways. And that's what I
Exactly.
feel like most people should be doing?
Yes.
So yeah.
Absolutely, because and even to stand out, like
Mhm.
if you've been producing your own short film or producing your own content in this time, you've already laid out the path for yourself in comparison to maybe someone who hasn't done anything. And I'm not judging,
Mhm.
because it is a hard time, but for
Yeah.
just for this conversation alone, you do stand out. So it is about
Mhm.
standing out from the crowd, especially when more opportunities will come.
Mhm.
You need to be standing out.
Yeah.
You do, especially because what's going to happen is there's so much people out of work, and it's going to be
Mhm.
like a marble jar where everyone's going to go for the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
You have to stand out in that jar. So do
Mhm.
it now whilst you can. Yeah,
Yeah,
whilst you
exactly.
can. Yeah.
So where can people find you, Saffron, to see your short film,
Yeah.
keep updated on everything, what you're doing, your podcast, all that stuff?
Yes, oh, absolutely. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Saffron Akira King, if you want to, connect or watch my professional journey. I'm there. My podcast is on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, and Google. And that is under Ponder, and that with Saffron King. So what I do is I interview people in the industry, whether they be actors, musicians, so also in the music industry as
Mhm.
well,
Love
people
that.
in the community who are doing amazing things, and I just
Mhm.
interview them about their story and get inspiration from them. And I am on Instagram under at Saffron Akira, and I might have a podcast Instagram as well, which is Ponder and that with Saffron. So yeah, I'm all over the place, and TikTok as well. Ponder that with Saffron. So I don't really use my TikTok as much, which I need to start doing, but yeah, I'm accessible. I'm accessible basically. Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
Well, Saffron, it has been so fun having you on the show and just talking to you and getting to know you more. And I know we'll be connected even more. Watch,
yeah.
I've always, every time I connect with somebody like this, I end up seeing them somewhere. And it's like, oh my gosh, hi.
So
So it's coming. We'll
absolutely.
see each other in real life.
Yes. Oh my God, we should grab a coffee or something because
Yes.
we definitely should definitely meet up. And I'm just so grateful for you having me on this platform. You're someone who I respect in this industry. You continue to shine, Kashif, and um, yeah, continue to be amazing and producing your own amazing content. I'm looking forward to your content as well, more of that coming out. And yeah, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
having me. Thank you for listening to me
Yeah.
as well.
No, thank you. Honestly, seeing your journey, I've seen you like, I remember seeing you get your first script editing job, and I'm like, she just
Oh,
going from strength to strength. So just seeing that is always good to see, and that's the thing. And I always say I'm rooting for everybody black. So let's go. So I'm just like
wow.
amazing, like. I once in a lifetime I wanted to be a script editor, and so to see someone else do that is just amazing. So it's like, and we need more of us in the room, more of us
Yes.
creating these amazing stories, you know? So I love that. So keep shining, keep doing it, keep writing films. I want to see what you do next. And you've got that great connections with like Dwayne, Karma Roberts. So it's like there's gonna be more. So it's gonna be good. It's gonna be very good.
Oh, thank you, Kashi. Thank you for
Okay.
having me. And
Thank
yes, we'll
you.
definitely arrange a coffee or a hot dog.
Yes, we will. We will.
And then we'll, yeah, that'll be nice. Oh, thank you.
Nice. Well, thanks again for being on the show, Saffron. As usual, guys, you can follow me all of my usual socials. You know them. There's a bunch of them. Stay tuned for new episodes coming soon.